10 incredible minutes after my car crash, Dad's shocking betrayal revealed at my sister's manicure. The moment the wreck happened, time stood still. Metal twisted like candy wrappers, glass shattered into a million diamond shards. Pain throbbed through Emily Johnson's body, a sharp reminder that life could spiral into chaos in an instant. As she lay trapped in her hospital bed, the world blurred around her. The weight of isolation settled like a lead blanket across her chest. She was a single mother, a devoted nurse, and now a survivor. But how would she provide for her little girl amid this wreckage? Days after the crash, a text from her sister, Sarah, punctured the haze of despair. A wedding was coming up, a dream they'd once spun together in childhood laughter, but for Emily, it was a bittersweet stinger. The pang of longing for her version of the American dream twisted in her gut. Sarah deserved happiness. She mustered every ounce of strength to embrace her sister's joy. A manicure seemed simple, but it was a bridge they both needed to cross. As they nestled into the soft chairs of the salon, the scent of nail polish wafted around them like a warm hug. Laughter and chatter buzzed in the air, but tension rippled between the sisters like static electricity. Emily picked at her cuticles, feeling the swelling emotions simmer just under the surface. Then, it happened. When Sarah stepped away to answer a call, Emily unintentionally caught the tail end of a conversation that splintered her heart. Her sister's voice was shaky, and Emily's heart sank as she heard mentions of money, lavish plans, and most crushing of all, words about their father. The man she had always admired now became a stranger in a heartbeat. She listened, horror-struck, as Sarah revealed how their father had been secretly funding the wedding while harboring disdain for Emily's struggles. It echoed painfully in her ears, a betrayal that cut deeper than any crash. How could he? Emily whispered, heart racing. The man who taught her the value of hard work had reduced her to failure in his eyes. Flashbacks of their childhood, the family dinners, the laughter, the love now felt tainted. Tears blurred her vision as she grappled with the ache of betrayal and confusion. She had always sought her dad's approval, and now it felt like a cruel joke. Emily stood at a crossroads in her tumultuous emotions. Should she confront her father? Demand an explanation? Or could she forgive, putting aside the heavy shroud of resentment for the sake of family? The clamor of the salon faded, replaced by the rush of her heartbeat echoing in her ears. As her sister returned, eyes sparkling with excitement, everything felt magnified. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The moment hung thick. Emily glanced back and forth between her sister, bubbling with dreams, and the fleeting memories of a family that was falling apart. The weight of her truth loomed like a dark cloud threatening a storm. It was time to speak. The room froze, all eyes frantically darting between the sisters, waiting for Emily to unveil the truths buried deep within her heart. What would she choose? Could she break the silence, or decide to chart a path toward forgiveness? The room felt heavy as she wavered, the choices pressing down on her like a vice, leaving the world hanging on the edge of uncertainty. The air was charged, thick with unsaid words. Emily's heart beat a frantic rhythm, drowning out the laughter of other patrons. She could see Sarah's excitement radiating, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in Emily's chest. For a moment, she contemplated the weight of the truth she bore. Emily? You all right? Sarah's voice cut through the haze, concern etching lines of worry on her brow. Emily tried to muster a smile, but it felt more like a grimace. Sure, just a lot on my mind, Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Already regrets churned within her, the regret of silence, the regret of complicity in their father's betrayal. It's going to be so beautiful, Em. Sarah gushed, her hands fluttering excitedly. I can't wait to see the way everything comes together. You're going to love it, I just know. Emily nodded, feeling a weight settle on her shoulders. She had always been Sarah's steadfast supporter, cheering at every milestone. But now? The thought of being part of a celebration funded by the very man who had cast a shadow over her heart felt like a betrayal in its own right. "I'm happy for you, really," she managed, struggling against the rising tide of emotion. But the words tasted bitter, tainted by the gnawing sense of injustice that had overtaken her. As they paid for their manicures, her phone buzzed with a text. It was from their father, simple and straightforward, "Looking forward to seeing you both at the wedding." The message felt like salt in a fresh wound. "Dad's messaging," she said flatly, the bitterness leaking into her words. Sarah noticed. "You should talk to him," Sarah encouraged, eyes wide with innocence. "He's excited." "I mean, maybe he's just what?" Emily interrupted, her voice sharp enough to cut. "Helping you wipe the dirty slate of daughters? Is that what you see when you look at him, Sarah? His dollar signs?" Sarah recoiled, taken aback. You're being dramatic." "Dramatic?" Emily echoed, feeling the hot sting of tears. "You don't understand. You don't know what it's like to be sidelined, to be looked at with pity." Sarah's brow furrowed, and she reached for Emily's hand. "But he loves us, does he? Does he really? Because I'm starting to think it's just my bed of thorns he's happy to ignore." Her voice softened as she looked at Sarah, seeing the confusion and hurt in her sister's eyes. "What do we do with this, Sarah? Can we just pretend everything's fine?" Silence wrapped around them, thick and heavy. Just then, the salon's door opened, and a young mother with a playful toddler rushed in, laughter spilling from her lips. Emily watched the warmth between them, a stark contrast to her own turbulent feelings. "I want to confront him," she blurted out suddenly, startling both herself and Sarah. "What?" "Not just about the wedding. I need to ask him why. Why he's chosen to ignore me. To judge me." The determination surged through Emily like a gust of wind. A flicker of hope ignited within, perhaps facing the truth wasn't all ruin. I can't keep this in anymore." "Are you sure?" Sarah's voice was quiet yet laced with concern. "What if it doesn't change anything?" Emily's heart raced at the thought of the confrontation, the possible outcomes, but she clung to the hope that maybe, just maybe, it would lead to something better. "I guess we'll find out." As they left the salon, something felt different in the air. The weight of the world still rested heavy, but now it was infused with a semblance of courage, of action. Emily had made her choice, and there was no turning back. But would the confrontation yield the truth she sought, or would it send her reeling further into despair? Only time would tell. Emily's footsteps echoed as she and Sarah stepped out into the brisk afternoon air. The sunlight felt harsh against her skin, illuminating the turmoil in her heart. Each step felt heavier than the last, but mixed within the dread was a surge of courage. "I'll do it," she said, more to herself than to Sarah. "You don't have to, Sarah urged softly, sounding both supportive and worried. "No, I need to," Emily insisted, grappling for strength. "I can't keep pretending. It's suffocating me." As they walked down the street, each face they passed seemed way too cheerful, families enjoying picnics, couples sharing ice cream. She felt like she was in a world that didn't understand her pain. And there was Dad, somewhere at the center of it all, lying in wait like an unresolved question. "Let us grab some coffee before we meet him," Sarah suggested, trying to lighten the mood. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that every moment spent delaying the inevitable was a moment wasted. "I just want to get it over with," she replied, the bite of urgency lacing the words. "I want to know where he stands. I deserve to know." They turned into a small cafe, the rich aroma of brewed coffee swirling around them. As they waited in line, Emily's thoughts spiraled. Would her father welcome her, or would he recoil under the weight of her words? "Sisters' coffee before confrontations," Sarah said with a small hopeful grin, as if trying to pull Emily from the whirlpool of her thoughts. She ordered a caramel latte while Emily chose an espresso, hoping the strong caffeine would give her an extra boost for what was to come. Once they had their drinks, they found a table in the corner. Emily stared out the window, lost in thought. What if he brushes me off? What if he still sees me as a mistake? Sarah placed a comforting hand over hers. You have every right to your feelings. Remember, you're not just talking about the past. This is your moment to reclaim your experience. Yeah, reclaim. Emily trailed off, taking a deep breath. It's just. I feel so fragile. Can one conversation really change everything? I think it can be the start of change. That is something, right? Emily nodded, but doubt pulled at her heart. She could imagine Sarah's wedding, the celebration, the laughter. It was all tied to the man who had broken her trust. How could she cheer on the union when a part of her felt torn apart by the same man? Just then, her phone buzzed again. It was another message from Dad. See you soon, girls. The word struck her like lightning. It's so easy for him, isn't it? To act like nothing else ever happened. Like we were always perfect. Maybe it's time he realizes we're not. Sarah's eyes sparkled with determination. You're a force to reckon with, you know. You deserve your truth. The steel in Sarah's voice ignited something in Emily. Maybe she wasn't as fragile as she thought. Maybe by confronting their father, she'd not only find her truth, but push Sarah to face her own uncomfortable realities too. Okay, Emily said slowly, her voice beginning to firm. We'll do this together. I'll confront him, and you'll be there to back me up. Absolutely. Sarah responded, her smile infectious, though her gaze regained a nervous edge. As they finished their coffees and looked at the time, a strange anticipation grew in the air. Was this the moment that would change everything? Emily stood, determination pulsing through her veins. The cafe felt like a sanctuary, but it was time to emerge from its comfort, no longer hiding. Let us go, Emily said, her heart racing with a mix of fear and fierce resolve. Every step felt monumental, the door before them a portal into the unknown. Would this confrontation build bridges or raise foundations? The tension settled in her chest as they walked down the street. Whatever happens, Sarah, promise me you'll keep an open mind. Always. As they approached their father's office building, Emily's breath quickened. She wasn't just seeking answers, she was ready to face the truth, no matter how raw it would feel. But would facing her father unveil the sincerity she desperately craved, or plunge her deeper into despair? The question loomed just ahead. Emily stopped in front of the large glass doors, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The office building loomed above her, a stark symbol of everything she had avoided for so long. She turned to Sarah, who stood beside her, a steady presence in the whirlwind of anxiety. Are you ready? Sarah asked, her voice firm but soft, a mix of reassurance and reality. Emily swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. As ready as I'll ever be. As she pushed the door open, the dull buzz of office chatter filled her ears. It felt surreal, as if they had stepped into another world, one where happiness crowded in while she felt empty inside. Let us find him, Sarah said, her hand gently resting on Emily's back, guiding her through the lobby. Each step towards the elevator felt heavy, each one echoing her doubts. Emily replayed every moment in her mind, the missed calls, unreturned messages, and the deafening silence that had grown between them. The elevator doors slid shut, isolating them in a metal box. The ride to the top floor felt endless. The air was thick, charged with unspoken words and unprocessed emotions. She could feel Sarah's eyes on her, searching for any signs of hesitation. Emily closed her eyes and drew a deep breath, mustering every bit of courage she had. When the doors opened with a soft ding, they stepped out into the hallway, where the bright lights felt blinding. Her father's office was just further down, an imposing place filled with memories she wished would fade. As they approached, Emily felt her stomach twist. Would he be surprised? Happy? Defensive? Take a moment if you need it, Sarah whispered, squeezing her hand. No. I need to do this now, Emily replied, straightening her back and blowing out a steadying breath. They walked toward the door, each step echoing her resolve. Knocking softly, a wave of trepidation shot through her. When the door clicked open, her father's face broke into a smile at first sight. "Emily." "Sarah," he exclaimed, with warmth that felt rehearsed. "Hi, Dad," Emily managed, her voice slightly shaky. He motioned for them to enter, but she hesitated, anchoring herself in her doubt as Sarah stepped inside first. We need to talk," Emily said, her voice suddenly small against the swell of familiar space. Her father's smile faded, replaced by a questioning look. "Okay, what's on your mind?" It was her chance. Emily could feel the pressure rising in her chest as the unfiltered truth bubbled up inside her. "I want to know why you left us. Why you pretended everything was fine when it wasn't." Anguish coursed through her veins. Sarah stood silent behind her, watching and waiting, as if holding her breath along with Emily. "I don't know if now is the right time for this," he started, but her father's tone felt rehearsed, like he was trying to deflect her inquiry once more. "It is. It's past time." Emily took a step closer, readying herself for the heavy truths about to spill forth. "I can't keep ignoring the pain you caused, the questions that never got answered." Her father's expression shifted, revealing a flicker of discomfort. "Emily, you don't understand." "Then help me understand," she cried, feeling the words powered by fear and anguish. "I need to stop living in the shadow of your choices." He faltered for a moment, the reality of her confrontation crashing into him. The air in the room grew thick with unspoken judgment, the tension palpable. Emily's heart raced. They were standing at a precipice, and she could either leap and find freedom or stumble back into silence, losing everything she had worked so hard to build. Just give him a chance to explain," Sarah said softly from behind her. But was there really enough time for understanding? As the seconds ticked away, uncertainties clouded Emily's mind. What if he couldn't provide the answers she sought? Would she ever truly be free? But before her father could respond, the unexpected sound of a phone ringing interrupted them. The sharp sound cut through the moment's heavy tension and made Emily spin around. It was her own phone, but she didn't recognize the number. Should she answer it, or let it go? As she debated, her father's gaze darted towards her phone, then back to her, a shadow crossing his face, a shadow that felt all too familiar. What would she find out on the other end? And how would it change everything she thought she knew? Emily's heart raced as she glanced back at her father, searching his face for answers even as the phone rang insistently. It was as if the universe conspired to throw her off balance exactly when she needed focus the most. Her hands trembled slightly, grappling with the weight of the moment. "Emily, maybe it's important," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper, urging her to pick it up. "Or maybe it's another reminder of how everything is falling apart," Emily murmured, glancing back at her father, who was now regarding her with a furrowed brow. She felt her father's stare, disappointment mingling with concern in his eyes. It unsettled her, pressing against the fragile wall she'd built. The phone rang again, mirroring the chaos in her mind. Taking a deep breath, she finally reached for the device, her thumb hovering over the answer button. What if it's bad news? Or worse, what if it's someone else stirring the pot? Yet, a part of her felt an urge to confront whatever lay hidden in the depths of that call. With one last glance at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly, Emily pressed the button and raised the phone to her ear. "Hello? Emily?" A voice she didn't recognize. "It's Claire. We need to talk right now." The casual tone grated against the ache that thrummed through her. "Who is this?" "Claire. Your sister." The world tilted on its axis. Emily's eyes widened, her heart hammering wildly. Her sister, the one she barely knew, the one who had been groomed into a life so different from her own. How had this person found her? Why was she calling now? I didn't know you had my number," Emily stammered, the tension in the room ratcheting up another notch. "Listen, it's urgent. I just found out something about Dad." "You need to meet me," Claire said, her voice firm. "What is it?" Emily felt a rush of fear and curiosity twisting in her stomach. "It's about why he left," Claire replied, and Emily's breath hitched, the words feeling like shattered glass cutting through the heavy air in the office. The truth hung on the edge of that statement. With every fiber of her being, she was suddenly desperate to know. Was this the truth she had been seeking, revealing the facade her father had built around him? Where are you? Emily's determination surged. Sarah stood anxiously behind her, picking up on the shift in Emily's mood. I'm at the coffee shop down the street from you. 10 minutes, okay? Please. Emily nodded, her heart thundering. I'll be there. As she hung up, the world around her blurred. Part of her felt guilty for running away from the conversation she had come to have with her father, yet another part silently cheered the distraction that might finally lead her to answers. Are you okay? Sarah asked cautiously, concern etched on her features. I have to go, Emily answered, turning on her heel. The clock was ticking, and every second felt important, like pieces falling into place. Wait, her father called out, his voice a blend of confusion and anger, but she didn't stop. Emily rushed down the hallway, her pulse racing. The weight of her family's secrets felt heavier than ever, calling her into a storm of uncertainty and revelation. What more could she uncover about her father, about herself? And would the truth bring her closer to her sister or deepen the wounds already present? With every step, she wondered if this was the beginning of a new chapter in unraveling the tangled web of her family's past. Would she find grace in the chaos, or was she stepping into an even darker truth? The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air as Emily pushed the cafe door open, the familiar chime of tiny bells sounding overhead. It felt surreal to be stepping into this place. It had always been a backdrop for laughter and casual exchanges, but today it was heavy with unspoken urgency. The cafe was half full, with a low hum of chatter and the occasional clatter of cups. Emily quickly scanned the room. There, towards the back, sat Claire. Her sister looked so unlike her, yet there was an undeniable resemblance, the same dark hair, the same intensity in her eyes, but Claire exuded a polished, poised confidence Emily had yet to master. Taking a moment to steady her breathing, Emily approached the table. Claire. Emily. Her sister looked up with a slight smile, though it didn't reach her eyes. Thanks for coming. Sliding into the seat across from her, Emily felt the weight of expectation. You said it was urgent. What do you know about Dad? Claire took a deep breath, her fingers curling tightly around her cup. It's complicated. I just found out about choices he made when I was younger. Choices that affect us both. Those words sent a chill through Emily. What do you mean? Just tell me everything. Okay. Claire leaned in, her voice dropping. When Dad left, it wasn't just about him wanting a new life or escaping whatever it was here. There's more to it. I recently came across some old documents, things he never talked about. Our father was involved in something big and dangerous. Emily's mind raced. She could hardly digest this bombshell. What do you mean? Dangerous? Like criminal? More than that, Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper. I think he was mixed up in some illegal activities. I learned he owed money to people who wouldn't hesitate to hurt him or us, for that matter. Panic clawed at Emily's throat. Why didn't we know any of this? Why hasn't anyone talked about it? Because it's hidden. Because it's shameful. He built a new life and left everything in the past. And then he left us, too. Claire's dark eyes shimmered with emotion, a combination of anger and sadness. The revelation struck Emily hard. The father she thought she knew, a kind, if flawed man, was intertwined in a web that threatened to choke their family. What else do you know? There's a woman, Claire continued, her gaze flickering away as if afraid to meet Emily's. I don't know who she is yet, but she's linked to this mess. He might have made promises, or even worse. The coffee cup rattled as Emily's hand trembled, holding onto the table for support. So, you think he left us for her? I think it's more than that, Claire said, voice steady now. He left us to protect us. But what if it didn't work? What if he knew they were coming for him? Emily's heart raced. The fractures in her family tree were turning into chasms, and suddenly all she could see were shadows where trust used to be. Was her father really the man she thought he was? I don't know if I can live with this knowledge, Claire. I don't want you to bear it alone. As they sat there, silence enveloped them, heavy with the promise of unresolved questions. Emily knew that whatever this was, it was just the beginning. So what now? She asked, almost hesitantly, feeling the enormity of their decision settling on her shoulders. I think we have to confront him, Claire replied, the determination in her voice sharpening the moment. Ask the questions and demand answers. We need to know who our father really is. But deep in her gut, something felt off. What if the truth was darker than they could ever imagine? Would they be ready for what lay ahead, or was unveiling their father's past going to bring more pain than healing? Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into danger. The shadows of her father's life loomed larger than she had ever realized. Confront him? You really think that's the way to go? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Claire nodded, her expression resolute. We deserve answers. If he is hiding something this big, we can't just let it lie. What if he fights back? Emily's heart pounded at the thought of their father, the man she adored, being painted as a villain. What if he turns this back on us? He won, Claire said, though uncertainty flickered in her eyes. He might be our father, but he is still a stranger to us now. We're not children anymore. We have to stand up for ourselves. The conviction in Claire's voice started to chip away at Emily's fears. Still, doubt clouded her mind as they sipped their now cold coffee. A heavy weight sat in her belly. Was Claire right? Was it possible their dad, with his warm smiles and fatherly advice, had layers of darkness wrapped tightly around him? Can you imagine confronting him? She ventured, her voice soft, almost afraid to peel back the layers of that imagined conversation. What if he tries to justify everything? What if he makes excuses? Then we have to push harder, Claire said, her voice gaining strength. He can't get away with this any longer. We deserve to know who he really is. Emily stared at her sister, seeing the fire ignite within Claire. It was infectious. Okay, let us do it. But how? I think we should go to his house. It's time to catch him off guard. Claire's eyes sparkled with a mix of apprehension and fierce determination. We can plan what we want to say ahead of time. The cafe buzzed around them, people laughing, sipping coffee, seemingly unaware of the turmoil unfolding at their table. Emily wondered if anyone else felt this level of anxious anticipation, the kind that held the weight of family secrets in the balance. Let us meet tomorrow at noon, Emily suggested, her voice a mixture of anticipation and dread. I'll pick you up and we can figure out what we want to ask. Then we just go for it. As Claire pushed her cup away, a determined nod confirmed their plan. Tomorrow's it, then. We'll be brave together. No backing down. Outside the cafe, the city was loud and alive. Emily stepped onto the street, but her heart felt heavy as if the entire world were pushing against her. In that moment, an overwhelming wave of doubt washed over her. What if confronting their father only opened a door to pain they couldn't close again? Claire was beside her, for better or worse. Even as they walked toward the car, something flickered between them, a blend of sisterly love and impending fear. Are you sure about this? Emily asked, needing reassurance. I have to be, Claire replied softly. For us, for the truth. We need to know what we're dealing with. That night, sleep wouldn't come easily. Every time Emily closed her eyes, her mind raced with images of their father smiling, laughing, then shifting to the stranger hidden in those documents. What if they discovered he wanted to cut ties for good? As her thoughts spiraled into the night, she convinced herself of one truth: tomorrow would change everything. Little did they know just how much. Once morning light broke, the atmosphere felt charged, crackling with the energy of uncertainty. Emily glanced at Claire in the car, a silent agreement flickering between them. Whatever awaited them was just around the corner, and neither of them had any idea of the consequences it would unleash. As they pulled up to their father's house, an uneasy sense of anticipation settled in. Were they prepared for the storm that lay ahead? And as they stepped out of the car, the door to their father's hidden past creaked open just a little, revealing the start of something they could never unlearn. The morning sun peeked through the trees, casting shadows that played tricks on Emily and Claire as they walked up to the front door. Emily's heart raced, striking against her chest like a drum. Would he see their resolve? Would he read the fear in their eyes? Claire knocked firmly, the sound echoing in the quiet street. They stood side by side, hands intertwined, a bridge of strength in their shared uncertainty. Moments stretched out, each ticking second like an eternity. Finally, the door creaked open. Their father stood there, his hair disheveled, clearly surprised. "Girls? What are you doing here?" His words hung in the air, heavy with confusion. "Dad, we need to talk," Claire said, her voice steady, establishing the tone right away. Emily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. This was it. Right now? He shifted his weight uncomfortably. Emily could see the flicker of apprehension cross his face. "Can't this wait?" "No." Emily blurted out, surprising even herself. The urgency poured out of her as if she couldn't hold it back any longer. "It can't wait. We found some things, bad things." His brow furrowed. "What kind of things?" Before they could answer, he opened the door wider, stepping aside. "Come in. Let us talk." Inside, the familiar scent of their dad's aftershave wrapped around them, momentarily softening the tension. Emily remembered countless times spent in this house, the laughter, the warmth. But today, everything felt twisted. They settled on the couch, Claire taking the lead again. "We found documents, Dad. Mom's old journals. They paint a different picture of you. We need to know the truth." The air thickened as he leaned back, a shadow crossing his features. "Why try to dig up the past? It doesn't matter anymore. But it matters to us." Claire raised her voice, anger and hurt spilling over. "You can't dismiss this. You can't just ignore it. Please, just listen to us," Emily added, desperation creeping into her tone. "Everything we believed, it's at stake here. We need you to be honest with us." Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Their father's gaze flicked between them, weighing their words like he was calculating the cost of honesty. Finally, he sighed, his shoulders drooping in resignation. "It was complicated," he began, each word falling like a brick. "Things that happened back then, they shaped who I am. I made choices, wrong choices." Emily felt her heart clench. "Choices that hurt us. Choices that changed everything. What do you think you really know?" He looked back at them, some edge of defensiveness sharpening his voice. "Everything was about protection?" Claire interjected. "Or hiding? What were you protecting us from?" Their father fell silent, his mouth closing as though he was trying to seal away the past. Emily leaned forward, every instinct screaming for clarity. "Just tell us the truth. We're ready to hear it." With that, the dam broke. He began to speak about a past buried in guilt and shadows, stories of betrayal and choices that spiraled out of control. Emily's fingers trembled, her chest tightened. It felt as though each revelation cracked open a wound they didn't know existed. As the words spilled out, doubt wormed its way back into Emily's heart. Was her love for him strong enough to withstand this? She exchanged glances with Claire. They were family, yet today it felt like standing on the edge of a chasm. One wrong move could plunge them into darkness. Suddenly, from the kitchen, a sound pierced the weighty air, a glass shattering. They all turned sharply as the noise echoed, and something shifted in their father's expression. Fear? Regret? It was there, fleeting yet palpable. "What was that?" Claire asked, growing pale. Before he could respond, Emily felt a chill race up her spine. "Dad, what aren't you telling us?" Before he could answer, another crash echoed. It felt like the shrouded secrets were ready to explode, and Emily's heart dropped with both dread and anticipation. They were on the brink of discovering something monumental, something that could change everything they thought they understood about their father. The moment stood suspended as the door to their family's truth began to swing wider. The air thickened with tension as their father's eyes darted to the kitchen, his face paling in an instant. Emily felt the weight of the moment. The truth was like a coiled snake, ready to strike. She could barely breathe. "Stay here," he finally managed to say, his voice tight, almost desperate. He took a step towards the kitchen, each footfall echoing the dread rising within them. "Dad, wait!" Claire called out, anxiety lacing her tone. But he didn't. He looked back. He disappeared around the corner, and the silence between the sisters felt like a chasm as wide as the ocean. Emily clutched Claire's hand tighter, her heartbeat racing with confusion. "What was that? What is going on?" "I don't know, but we have to follow him," Claire whispered, her eyes wide with fear. They exchanged a quick look of solidarity. Both knew they couldn't stay on the couch, passive bystanders to the unraveling mystery. They stood up, every nerve in Emily's body screaming that something was terribly wrong. As they edged toward the kitchen, a sense of foreboding enveloped them. What could be in there that terrified their father so? "Dad?" Claire's voice wavered. There was no response. With cautious steps, they entered the kitchen, and their breath caught at the sight before them. There, lying shattered across the floor, were pieces of a once sturdy vase, a family relic, long cherished but now broken beyond repair. But more than the vase, it was the sight of their father, standing unnaturally still, eyes fixed on a note that had fallen out from within the vase. The kitchen became a scene straight from a nightmare. He picked up the note gingerly, as if it were a fragile creature that would break apart at the slightest touch. The conviction in his stance faltered, and he looked over at them, the fear in his gaze a mirror of their own. "What is it?" Emily pushed gently, the dread inside her twisting like a knife. "Please, just go back. This isn't for you," he pleaded, his voice trembling. "No, Dad. We deserve to know," Claire shot back, her courage growing roots in the face of his weakness. "What does it say?" He exhaled deeply, folding the note with careful precision before looking them in the eye. "It's about your mother." The ground shifted beneath them. Emily's mind raced with questions, a whirlwind of emotions threatened to spill over. "What do you mean? What does it say?" "It's not what you think," he murmured. It's about her past. A part of her life we wish to keep hidden." "Hidden? Why? Don't you see how that hurts us?" Claire's voice rose, frustration and hurt intertwining. That he shook his head, despair etched into the lines of his face. "Because it could ruin everything. The life we built," he said, regret tainting his words. "I did what I thought was right. But what if you were wrong?" Emily stepped closer, her heart pounding in her chest. "What if we could handle the truth?" At that moment, the note slipped through the father's trembling fingers, like life unraveling. It drifted down to the floor where it lay face up, taunting them with possibilities. "Read it," he whispered, no fight left in him, only the broken shell of the man Emily used to trust without question. As Claire bent down to pick it up, Emily felt the stakes rise, a knot forming in her throat. The revelation hung in the air like the tension before a storm, a moment suspended in time where their world could shatter or transform. What would they discover? What had been hidden beneath the surface all along? With a deep breath, Claire unfolded the note, and Emily dared to hope, what if this was the moment they could finally understand? But as Claire's eyes scanned the words, a mixture of horror and confusion crossed her face. Emily felt her heart stop, caught in a web of uncertainty. "Claire?" She breathed, desperation creeping into her tone. "What does it say?" As Claire began to read aloud, Emily braced herself, knowing their family's greatest secrets were about to be unmasked. What would they uncover that day? And would it change everything they thought they knew about their father? The answers swirled in the air, palpable and charged with an energy that promised to reshape their lives forever. As Claire read the note aloud, the words hung heavy in the air like storm clouds ready to burst. "To my dearest Emily and Claire. I never wanted you to find out. Your mother was not just your mother. She had a part of her life that was dark. Each word felt like a dagger, piercing the fragile fabric of truth that Emily had woven around her memories of home. Her breath hitched as her father stared at them, a mix of sorrow and regret etched across his features. "It was supposed to stay buried," he murmured, his voice strained, almost breaking. "Buried?" Claire echoed, the anger simmering beneath her surface. "You mean the things you did to us, keeping us in the dark about who Mom really was?" Emily felt the ground shifting beneath her once again. All her childhood innocence came crashing down, replaced by the stark reality of her family's past. A part of her wanted to scream, to lash out at the father who had built a wall of lies around them. But more than that, she ached for clarity. "What did she do?" she finally asked, her voice trembling but firm. "What did you protect us from?" He took a moment, his eyes clouded with anguish before he answered, "Your mother was involved with people who did terrible things. She tried to leave that world and kept it from you to give you a normal life. I didn't want you to know the truth about her." "Normal?" Claire shouted, her frustration boiling over. "You think hiding the truth is normal?" "Enough!" he shouted back, but the sudden eruption filled the room with a heaviness, a reality they had never faced. "If you want the truth, know that it's dangerous. Someone could come looking for what was hidden." Fear crept into Emily's heart, a new sensation that forced her to reconcile the father she loved with the man who hid behind a veil of deception. "So, what? We were never supposed to know? What if everything crumbles because of your lies?" As she stared into his eyes, something changed. His expression softened, revealing the cracks in his resolve. "I thought I was protecting you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't want to lose you both." "But you did lose us," Emily replied softly, tears welling in her eyes. "By your choices. By making us live in a bubble while pretending everything was fine." Just then, Claire cut in, urgency masking her raw emotion. "What do we do with this? With everything we've learned?" Her mind raced, already veering towards solutions, but they were still dancing in the realm of the unknown. "I don't know," Emily admitted. "But we need to face the truth together. We can't carry this alone, and we definitely can't bury it again." Her father turned away, the weight of his choices crashing down on him like a tidal wave. Emily felt the tug-of-war within her, love battling against betrayal. It dawned on her that their family's truth could be the very foundation they could rebuild on, but only if they had the courage to embrace it. "Will you fight for us? I mean, really fight?" Emily asked, the question hanging in the air like a prayer. "We deserve a chance to know the whole story." He finally turned back to meet her gaze. "Yes. I will. I can't hide anymore. I will help you confront what was hidden." A fragile peace fell between them, the kind forged in moments of raw honesty. Perhaps this was the turning point they all needed. Just as fear began to recede, the air crackled with an unspoken promise that they could face whatever awaited them as a united front. As they left the house together, the streets felt a little lighter, the shadows that once loomed overhead dissipating like morning mist. Emily had a resolve brewing within her, a heart prepared to embrace the storms ahead and the newfound strength they had discovered together. In that moment, she glanced at Claire, who wore a look of determination as fierce as her own. There would be obstacles ahead, but they would not be alone. They would reclaim their family, their truth, and their future. "Let us meet with Mom's friends. We can reach out to those who knew her. Understand the good and the bad," Emily suggested. "Together," Claire affirmed. With a nod, and as they stepped forward, both sisters felt lighter, ready to face the weight of the world, hand in hand. As they began their new journey, the past would always remain part of them, but it would no longer dictate their future. They could now rise from the ashes, stronger and united, paving a new path together as sisters free from the shadows of betrayal and filled with hope. They were ready for this new beginning. "Now, we need your help to keep this story alive and thriving. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this journey. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. We want to hear from you. and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how important your support is for the channel. Let us keep the family growing.